So following on from some of the earlier videos, we're trying to obtain the volume of this 3D solid here. So the volume of this solid here is given by this. The volume is given by this. So that's summing up everything from negative infinity to positive infinity. So the volume of this 3D solid here is given by us summing up all these slices. So we are moving from negative infinity to positive infinity. We are summing up all these slices here. So the volume of this thing is given by us summing up all these slices. So by the time it gets to, let's say, here, then that would give us this thing here, and then we'll continue to summing up all these slices. By the time it gets to, let's say, B here, then it will give us this. Because we're summing up all the slices, we need a way of obtaining the area. So we are really summing up all the areas. So the volume is really us summing up all the areas. So hang on. So the volume is given by us summing up all the areas. So by the time it gets to let's say here, we need a way of obtaining this area here. And then we're summing up all the areas. Let's say by the time it gets to B here, so that would give us this. But then we need a way of obtaining this area, because so for any given value of x, we need a way of obtaining the area for any given value of x. So because we're summing up in the x direction, we're moving in the x direction. So let's say when we get to here, we need this area here. We need a way of obtaining this area. And then by the time it gets to B, we need a way of obtaining this small area here. So don't forget, this area here is different from this area. It's slightly smaller. So remember from calculus, when we first started calculus, we've got a function f of x here. This is a, and this is b. The area of this thing here is given by us summing up everything from. So it's really, the area is given by us summing up all the rectangles here. So the thickness here is dx. So the thickness here is dx. But then we need to times the thickness with the height. So the height is given by f of x. So we're summing up. So the thickness here is dx. We need to times that with the height. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you want to know the area, you need to know the height each step of the way. So we are moving in the x direction here. We need to know the height. Once we know the height each step of the way, then we can sum up everything. The point I'm trying to make here is that this area here, to obtain this area here, you need to know the height each step of the way. Well, each step of the way, by the way, in this case, each step of the way is in the y direction, because we are moving in the y direction. It's kind of weird because here you're summing up all the areas, and we are moving in the x direction. We are moving in the x direction. But so we are moving in the x direction here. Let's say by the time we get to B here, that will then be this area here. But then this area here, we now need to sum up everything, and then we are moving in the y direction now. So here we are moving in the x direction. But then if you want to know this area here, you need to move in the y direction. But to obtain this area here, we need to know the height of this thing each step of the way, and each step is in the y direction. The point I'm trying to make here is that this area here, you need to know the height each step of the way. Well, the height of this. So don't forget, this thing here is really this slice here. Okay. So we need the way of obtaining the height of this thing. So we are moving in the y direction now. Remember, we need to find out the area each step of the way. For any given value of x, we need to know the area. Let's just say we are now at x equals b. At x equals b, that's this slice here. We need a way of obtaining this thing here. But then to obtain this thing here, we need to know the height each step of the way. Well, the height is given by this. Hang on. Let's say hang on. Let's say we wanted to know this height here at a random place here. This height here. Well, don't forget, this area here is different from this area here. So the height here, let's just say the height is here, okay? The height here, so we are really summing up to obtain this area here. So this area here is what we're trying to obtain here. This area here is us summing up from negative infinity to positive infinity. Don't forget, we are moving in the y direction. We are moving in the y direction, so that will be dy. Don't forget, this thing here is just the area of this thing here. Okay, so now we need to know the height. So we need to know the height each step of the way. Well, the height each step of the way. If you want to know this height here, let's say you want to know this at a random place here, this height here. So this slice here is this. So the height here, hang on, if you cut it along the y-axis, it will give you this slice here. You see, along the center here, it will be minus x squared. So if you cut it along here, it will give you this cross-sectional area here. If you cut it at an angle, as long as it's through the origin, then it will give you this thing here. But then we cannot use this thing here to work out the height along here. Okay, so hang on. To work out the height along here, hang on, bear with me. To work out the height along here, the height along here is really so if you want to know this height here, it's really you. Hang on. So don't forget, we are revolving this 360 along here. Hang on. So we are revolving around this thing here. So if you want to know this height here is really you. The height here is really given by e to the height here is given by this, and the reason for that is because you see, if you wanted to know this height here, well, as you revolve it around here, if you revolve it 360, it will get to somewhere around here. So remember that if you cut it along the x-axis, it will give you this thing here. So this height here is really the height here is actually given by this, but it's really hard for me to explain this. Bear with me. Let's start again. From here to here, the height here is actually, well, hang on, if you cut it along here, that would give you this slice here. But if you want to know this height here, that's this place here. Let's say a random place. Well, the height here is really you using this r here. But then by you revolving this 360, you will end up somewhere around here. So remember, if you cut it along here, then we can use e to the power of minus x squared. But then if you want to know the height, you need to put the r into this thing here, because but by the time you revolve around here, it will be further along than this bit here. So the height here is really the equivalent of you moving further down here, but then that would be this height here. Badly explained, I will have another go in the next video. Okay.